Apple is about to charge you more money for the iPhone 18 Pro Max. Not because they made it dramatically better, because AI is eating the world's memory chips and you're paying for it. Tim Cook told the Wall Street Journal on June 17th that price increases for the iPhone 18 Pro are unavoidable. That word, unavoidable, from Apple. The company that held Pro Max pricing flat for 3 years straight just blinked. Tech Insights puts the potential increase at around $270 to protect Apple's margin. The Wall Street Journal estimates a steeper $300 jump, potentially pushing the iPhone 18 Pro Max to $1,399 at the starting price. And there's one specific reason your cheaper option just got blocked. We'll get to that, but let me show you the full picture first. So here's where we actually are. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is coming in September 2026. It's a 6.9-inch device launching alongside the 6.3-inch iPhone 18 Pro and Apple's first ever foldable iPhone. The more affordable iPhone 18 and 18e won't come out until spring 2027. And you see, so this fall, your only new iPhone options all start at $999 or more. No budget, escape hatch, no middle option, premium only. And on top of that, the flagship Pro Max might cost you $200 to $300 more than you paid last time. There's a specific reason for that. And it's weirder and honestly more interesting than you'd expect. Let's start with the phone itself, because the upgrades are real. Both the Pro and Pro Max are expected to feature the A20 Pro chip, built on TSMC's advanced 2-nanometer process. That's the first 2-nanometer chip in any iPhone. Performance and efficiency improvements, that part is a given. But here's what actually got me interested. The main camera is expected to feature a variable aperture 48 megapixel lens, a first for any iPhone. Variable aperture, every camera lens has a fixed opening, the aperture. On every iPhone ever made, that setting is locked. A variable aperture lens works like the pupil of your eye, and in bright sunlight it narrows like 2.8 to prevent overexposure. In low light it opens up wider to pull in more. Your phone's camera has essentially been wearing the same sunglasses indoors and outside for 15 years. This changes that. Battery is expected to land between 5,100 and 5,200 milliamp hours, the largest ever in an iPhone. The display is a 6.9-inch LTP OOLED, 120 Hz ProMotion, peaking at up to 3,200 nits brightness. At 3,200 nits, this display will be readable in direct afternoon sunlight, something budget and mid-range phones still struggle with. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reported that the dynamic island will be noticeably smaller, with Face ID components moving partially under the display. Full under-display Face ID has been pushed to a future generation. But the result is still a cleaner, more screen-forward look. The phone could be noticeably thicker and heavier than the iPhone 17 Pro Max, around 9 millimeters thick and approximately 240 grams. And for color, multiple rumors point to a deep red or dark cherry finish, described as having a tinge of purple in it. Dark cherry. That's either going to be gorgeous or look like a burgundy couch from 2009. We'll find out in September. Okay, here's the part nobody's explaining properly. Why is Apple raising prices? The simple answer is memory chips. The real answer is AI is hoarding them. DRAM and NAND, flash memory, have seen prices surge between 63 and 75% year over year. And the culprit isn't another pandemic-era logistics meltdown. This time, artificial intelligence is the bottleneck. AI data centers are consuming memory chips at an extraordinary rate. High bandwidth memory earns manufacturers revenue per wafer estimated at 3 to 5 times that of conventional mobile DRAM, with gross margins of roughly 60% versus about 40% for standard phone memory. That gap has driven conventional DRAM contract prices roughly 90 to 95% higher in the first quarter of 2026 alone. So, Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron, the companies that make the memory inside your iPhone, are making dramatically more money selling chips to data centers running AI. Your phone is losing the bidding war to ChatGPT's servers. Tim Cook told the Wall Street Journal that the current escalation in memory chip costs is unlike anything he has seen in his 40-year industry experience. 40 years. The man who managed Apple's supply chain through COVID, chip shortages, trade wars, and a global pandemic. And this is the worst he's seen. Mobile DRAM 12 gigabyte contract prices underwent a threefold increase since the first quarter of 2025, climbing to approximately $120 by late in the first quarter and into the second quarter of 2026. Tripled. The memory in your next iPhone costs 3 times what it cost last year to produce. And here's where Apple's plan to escape this completely fell apart. Apple's strategy was smart. To avoid depending entirely on Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron, who are all prioritizing AI clients, Apple went looking for alternatives. Apple reportedly wants to add Chinese semiconductor companies CXMT and YMTC to its supply chain to navigate the memory shortage. Apple has been lobbying the Trump administration for a waiver allowing it to source DRAM from CXMT, a Chinese memory manufacturer currently on the Pentagon's blacklist. Reuters and the Financial Times both reported the request in late June, so Apple went to the US government and said, please let us buy chips from a company on the military blacklist, because the alternative is charging you $300 more for your phone. Now, even that plan had problems before it could even start. Even if Washington grants the waiver, Beijing is likely to redirect CXMT's output toward domestic Chinese companies facing their own severe memory shortage. CXMT lacks the production capacity to serve Chinese domestic demand, and an Apple contract simultaneously getting the waiver does not guarantee getting the chips. But the real reason the iPhone 18 Pro Max can't use CXMT memory isn't political, it's packaging. The A20 Pro is moving to wafer-level multi-chip module packaging, which shifts the DRAM from sitting on top of the processor to sitting beside it. It's the first time Apple has made this kind of change, and it requires months of tight coordination between the memory supplier and Apple's own chipset team. Samsung and SK Hynix have had years of that coordination already. CXMT is still new to the relationship, mostly testing chips for devices sold in China, so there isn't enough runway left before the iPhone 18 Pro ships this September for its memory to clear validation. Translation: CXMT can't even be qualified in time. The door is physically closed. For Pro buyers, this closes the door on the one scenario that could have kept prices in check. Estimates already pointed to a starting price as high as $1,399, a number that gets even harder to avoid once a cheaper memory supplier is off the table. And if you're thinking, I'll just buy a Samsung instead, don't assume you're dodging it. Samsung already raised prices across its higher storage tiers earlier this year for the same underlying reason. This is industry-wide. There is no escape hatch. So, what do you actually do if you're currently on an iPhone 14 Pro or older? The upgrade math works heavily in your favor. The camera chip and battery improvements will feel transformational, not incremental. Variable aperture camera, biggest iPhone battery ever, a 20 Pro on 2 nanometer. For people 3 or 4 generations back, this is a real upgrade. But if you already own a recent model like the iPhone 17 Pro or 16 Pro, the upgrades may feel incremental rather than revolutionary, paying potentially $1,399 to get a slightly smaller dynamic island and a new colorway that may or may not look like a red velvet cake. That's a harder sell. And here's the thing nobody is talking about yet. about yet. IDC predicts global smartphone shipments will decline 13.9% year over year in 2026, while average selling prices will actually, CHC noted that roughly 54% of users with iPhone 15 or older models will inevitably need to upgrade to experience the new Siri AI features, and demand among Pro Max buyers who are less price sensitive will not significantly contract. Apple knows exactly who buys the Pro Max, people who will pay, and they're counting on that. The standard iPhone 18 is a different story. It isn't arriving until spring 2027, which gives CXMT roughly a year of extra runway to get its chips validated. So if price is a factor, genuinely waiting for the base iPhone 18 in spring 2027 might be the smarter move. The standard iPhone 18 may incorporate CXMT's technology and hopefully avoid the brutal price hike rumored for the Pro lineup. That's the play most people aren't considering. Here's where I land. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is genuinely impressive hardware. Variable aperture camera, best ever battery, A20 Pro chip on 2 nanometer, a display that laughs at sunlight. If you're holding an iPhone 14 Pro or older, buy it. The price is going up, but so is everything else this year. But if you're on a 16 or 17 Pro, hold. You're paying a premium not for a revolutionary product, but because AI data centers decided your RAM is more valuable than you are. And honestly, the most interesting iPhone story in fall 2026 might not be the Pro Max at all. The iPhone 18 Pro, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, and the iPhone Fold are all coming in September 2026. Apple's first foldable phone arrives at the same event. That story is going to completely overshadow the Pro Max, which might actually be the best thing that ever happened to Pro Max buyers, because nobody's going to be at the Pro Max table at launch and inventory will probably be cleaner than usual. What I'm genuinely curious about, are you buying the Pro Max at $1,399? Or are you waiting? Drop it in the comments. Because I have a feeling the answer is going to be very different by October.